Well, so talking about the cabin of the Ciaz, it's a very plush looking cabin. You get this a little bit of faux wood over here, and the quality is also quite okay. There's soft materials here on top of the dashboard and the door panel. So yes, the materials are good. In terms of the features, this car is very well kitted. You get Apple's CarPlay, Android Auto, which really is obligatory now across all other manufacturers. Start-stop button as well, and of course a couple of airbags, as well as ABS is standard. What you also get is automatic headlamps, which gives it a nice and plush feel, and Maruti also gives it a nice and large touchscreen system, which is easy to operate. In terms of seat comfort, this Ciaz is pretty good. You get good support for your lower back, good support for your under thighs, and of course plenty of storage places. You also get a hooded cover here for keeping your wallet as well as your cell phone safe from prying eyes should you leave it in the car. And the door bins are large enough for those big 1 liter bottles. And of course, this is the mild hybrid tech system, so you can of course switch it on and off by using these buttons, as well as the button to switch off the traction control. So in terms of the overall ambience, the overall space, comfort, as well as the features, the car is pretty well loaded. Well, sir, I'm inside the cabin of the Ciaz now, and I have to say one thing, that is that the cabin of this car is better in terms of quality, it's better in terms of the features, it's better in terms of overall comfort than the Ciaz, and that's quite a thing because the Ciaz in itself is a good car in terms of overall comfort as well as quality. Now, you get a lot of equipment on this car. You get a G-force meter, which tells you how many G-forces your body is going through when you're pushing this kind of corners. You also get a sunroof. You also get Alexa app, which means that this is a connected car and you can use your voice commands along with the Honda Connect app, and you can of course use a lot of cool features on this car. And you also get camera in a side view mirror, which helps you detect your blind spots. So very thoughtful touches from Honda. And in terms of seat comfort, very good cushioning, very good support for your lower back is very good, and it is definitely ahead of the Ciaz. Overall, if you really do want to cut it short, I'll just say that this car gets a strong 10 out of 10 in the front seat department compared to Ciaz, which in my book gets a decent 8.5 out of 10. Now let's jump in the back seat and see how good those really are. Well, talking about the back seat of the Ciaz, this is the roomiest place in the mid-size sedan segment. You won't find more legroom or headroom in any other car. In fact, headroom might be able to find, but knee-room is impossible because this car has a very long wheelbase, and I've adjusted the front seat for my height and my driving position. My height, if you've forgotten, for reference, is 5'10", and I always adjust the front seat for my height. So yes, there's plenty of space. There's an almost flat floorboard, so whoever's sitting in the middle also can stretch his feet. The knee and hip angle is also pretty good, and also there's an armrest which has a couple of beverage holders. So essentially, it's one of the best seats in the business, and I think I'd give it a strong score of 9 out of 10. Well, I'm sure by now all of you are aware that Woodmore are the online expert when it comes to spare parts. And the best point is that they have the spare parts for all vehicles available in India. So even if your car is out of production now, maybe you have a large generation model, even then they have the spare part available. They have the entire catalog. And the best point is that they have the same spare part from a host of different component makers, which gives you great flexibility in the pricing overall. So check them out today. Check out the app. It's available both for iOS as well as Android devices. And also check out the website for the latest schemes as well as offers. Well, so I'm inside the cabin of the City now. In the back seat department, in terms of space, it's very difficult to choose which car has more space. But to be honest, you don't really need more space than this. My reference is 5'10", and I'm adjusting the front seat for my height and driving position. So if you are someone who's about 5'11", even 6 or even 6'2", you'll have plenty of place over here. Headroom also should be more than enough for someone who's about 6'2" or even 6'3", because I'm 5'10", I have about a couple of inches more, so 6'1", 6'2" should be quite okay. And the seats themselves are brilliant in terms of comfort. If you are someone who sits all day long in the back seat and enjoys being busy on his phone or his laptop, then this is the car to go for. It's better than the Ciaz, it's better than any other car in this segment. You get excellent support for your under thighs, excellent support for your lower back. The knee and hip angle is also at a nice 90 degree, and of course you get your own AC vents, a couple of charging points which are 12-volt charging sockets, and the windows go almost all the way down, and these are nice and large windows. To be honest, if you cut it short, I'll just say this, that the Ciaz is behind the City in terms of overall opulence, in terms of overall feel-good factor, and in terms of overall seat comfort. The City is the king when it comes to backseat experience. Let's see how good the boot on this car really is. Well, so both these cars are neck and neck in terms of the overall comparison when it comes to the boot capacity. And in terms of space, the size as well as the sheer opening, the aperture, again both these cars are identical. So it's no brainer that in the boot department it's a tie between the Ciaz and the City. talk about the driving performance. Now, these two cars that we've driven today or we're driving today are both petrol automatic. Now, you might say, well, so what's the big difference? The difference is in the way they drive and the way the automatics perform, because this is a proper 4-speed automatic. It's not an automatic manual transmission. It's not an AMT. It's not a CVT. It's a proper automatic gearbox, but it's only a 4-speed one. Now, if you drive on the highway a lot, you might miss the 5th gear. But if you drive only in the city, you won't miss that 5th gear. That's the short and sweet story. In terms of overall fuel efficiency, this one consistently shows us about 13 or 13 and a half on the trip computer, which is 1 kilometer ahead of what the city shows us. So it's ahead of the city for sheer comparisons. Where the engine is slightly behind the city is in terms of overall performance, because that car just feels very peppy and very alive. The steering wheel also is nice and light, which is great for city drivers, but it doesn't have that same kind of communication that the city steering wheel offers. But the advantage this car has is that it gets that mild hybrid tech, and that hybrid tech definitely shows in the fuel economy. It doesn't feel as agile as a city. It definitely dips around when you push it into corners, or if you do this, it doesn't change lanes as quickly. But for sheer comparison's sake, if I had to give it a score, I'll give this one a score of 88 out of 100, and I'll give the city a score of 90 in the driver department. Well, so here I am driving the Honda City now. Now, the City comes with an IV Tech engine, and not only is it a more responsive and a more refined engine than the one on the Ciaz, but it's also a lot more powerful. Yes, in terms of power delivery, this one makes about 118 bhp, which is definitely a lot more than the 104 bhp that you get on the Ciaz. But that's not all. What you'll also like about this car is its sheer rev happy nature. When you rev this engine hard, when you rev the motor, it really does feel very responsive, very alert, and it goes all the way up to its treadline of about 6,500 RPM without any fuss whatsoever. So it's an engine which you can truly call a charming engine, and an engine which will put a smile on your face. What you'll also like about the City is the fact that it's a very good car in terms of overall ride comfort. And both these cars are very good in terms of overall ride comfort, so it's very difficult to choose which one is better and which one is behind. And I reckon that this car is just as good as the Ciaz is. Both these cars are really neck and neck, and it's very hard to choose which one offers you the better ride. But in terms of agility, in terms of overall feedback from the steering wheel, and in terms of the chassis balance, that definitely the advantage is again with the City, because it just feels like a more sharper car to drive. It feels like a car which will put a smile on your face if you call yourself a keen driver, and it's just a better car for people who enjoy driving themselves. But what you'll also like about the City is the fact that the manual version is a lot more crisper to operate than the Ciaz is, and also the automatic is a CVT automatic, which is technologically more advanced than the 4-speed automatic torque converter that you get on the Ciaz. So again, in the gearbox department, the advantage lies with the City. What you'll also truly appreciate about this car is the fact that it is a very quiet motor. Even when you rev it hard, there's very minimal buzz which comes inside the cabin. And as I just said, it's got the best of everything. It's very refined, it's very responsive, it's much nicer to drive, the ride and handling balance is much better. And as an overall package, in the driving department alone, I will give the Honda City a strong score of 90 out of 100. And it might be at par in terms of ride comfort, but yes, when it comes to sheer driving pleasure, there's nothing which beats the Honda City iVTEC engine. And of course, if you are someone who wants fuel efficiency, you have the option also to choose a diesel version, which is something that the Ciaz does not offer now. So you can choose the diesel version of the City. It's an iDTEC motor which makes about 100 bhp. So my verdict is clear that the City has the advantage in the driving department.